Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Ayşe Süberker. When they met last October in Rome, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his U.S. counterpart Joe Biden pledged to shore up relations through a new channel called the Strategic Mechanism. A lot has changed since then, with Russia's attack on Ukraine putting NATO on its highest alert in decades. And having the two largest armed forces in the alliance, Turkiye and the U.S. are now looking to deepen their economic and defense cooperation to better suit this new reality. But their partnership has been strained for years. Turkiye's acquisition of Russia's S-400 defense system triggered harsh U.S. sanctions, including its removal from the F-35 fighter jet program. Ankara, which had already paid $1.4 billion to acquire the fifth-generation aircraft, called on the U.S. to provide an alternative. One option that Turkiye has offered is purchasing dozens of F-16 fighters with modernization kits. Biden recently said the potential sale would serve U.S. interests and help NATO's long-term unity. So, is this the opening both Ankara and Washington have been waiting for? And to discuss where relations could be headed, joining me now from Istanbul is Ugur Yasin Asal. He is an associate professor at Istanbul Commerce University. And from Paris, Borzou Daragahi. He is a political analyst and journalist. Gentlemen, welcome to Straight Talk. It's good to have you on the program. Or let me begin with you. After a considerable period of time, why do you think Turkey and the U.S. have now agreed to launching a channel like this strategic mechanism? Has the Ukraine crisis accelerated this process?
Yes, exactly. Also, the U.S. showed the increase and the significant role of Turkey, how this escalation will be done. And both being NATO member and ally of U.S., Turkey played a critical role in this crisis. Also, this strategic mechanism shows the two countries needs to show holistic approach to solve all those problems for bilateral relations. This mechanism also refers some rules, principles, and institutions which can be contribute to those relations. This is also have commercial ties, which is mostly significant to increase these strategic relations, to set a new alliance again. As we know, the two countries have more than $100 billion commercial target for both countries to reach this one.
Yes.
When we put all this, it shows how this significant role on strategic mechanism will play.
But why have they discovered it now is a question, Borzou. And how do you think this mechanism will address disputes between the two countries, especially when it comes to Turkey's fight against terrorism, Russian-made S-400 defense systems, tensions in the Eastern Mediterranean, and other points of contentions?
Look, I mean, it's really quite simple. The factory settings are good relations between Turkey and the U.S. That's been the case since World War II and the Cold War. Despite what you hear in the right-wing media in Turkey and from certain lobbyist circles in Washington, the general inclination in Washington is to try to have good relations with Turkey, with Ankara. And I think that there has been, a lot of voices arguing on behalf of having decent relations, keeping the channel of communications open. Now, Biden has in the past shown some hostility towards Erdogan for various reasons, some of them more reasonable than others. But there is an institutional, as the professor said, kind of inclination to have decent relations. And this was an opportunity. This was an opportunity to isolate Russia. This was an opportunity to reach out to Turkey and try to restore some of those relations. And the Ukraine war, it sort of opened up this possibility. The government of Volodymyr Zelensky in Ukraine has been, consistently praising Turkey, despite accusations that Turkey is also playing a sort of double game and keeping good relations with Putin. You're not hearing that from Kiev.
Yes, but or the Biden administration now believes that a potential sale of F-16 fighter jets to Turkey would be in line with the U.S. national security and also serve NATO's long-term unity. What do you think? Do you think Biden would risk his political capital to get Congress to agree to the sale of F-16s to Turkey?
Biden also see the role of Turkey, how this regional crisis can be settled down by the being NATO ally, and also the role of these F-16 jets would also secure the NATO borders. This is very significant, and also the letter from the U.S. Secretary Department to the Congress would be a significant role to get this, hopefully, this permission from the Congress. And also it shows how this strategic mechanism also can work for the security problems, how this can be make a decrease in these problematic areas. And also maybe this strategic mechanism would refer also this security concerns and strengthen this NATO ally and the US strategic relations between Turkey. In it also show the Russian invasion would not be stopped in very short time. It means this crisis and the risks can be up in the upcoming future.
But do you believe that this strategic mechanism would be applied when Turkey needs it, especially when it's fighting terrorism in its southern borders?
Yes, exactly. This is also should work for it, because this is one of the most important problem between US and Turkey. YPG and PKK terrorists and its organizational support from the US, and this should be also with the in the center of this strategic mechanism.
Yes.
Because this is also the red line of Turkey.
Yes.
How we should focus and make this securitization.
So, Borzou, when we talk about cooperation on economic and defense sectors, that brings to mind Turkiye's exclusion from F-35 fighter jets programs and sanctions imposed on its defense industry. Both are directly targeting the Turkish economy as well as Turkey's defense sector. How is that going to play out?
I mean, the United States did not want to impose those sanctions, the executive branch. And they warned Turkey over and over again. And like, you know, I don't want to be arguing on behalf of the U.S. State Department, but I can recount their point of view in that we do not want to do this, that Turkey forced their hand, according to the U.S. And so any way they can, despite that, despite the congressionally mandated sanctions that were imposed on Turkey because of its purchase of Russian weaponry in defiance of laws that were passed in the United States, despite that, the Americans want to move past that. As I said, there's a lot of goodwill towards Turkey. And despite frictions between the administrations in Washington and Ankara, we have to think of Turkey as a long-term partner that, you know, stretches out into the decades. And we do not want Turkey to fall into the Russian sphere of influence or the Chinese sphere of influence at this point. And so they are trying to wiggle around what they have to do as required by Congress and what they want to do as strategists planning for the future of the Atlantic Alliance.
Okay, so Ugur, if approved, let's say, could this offer an opening for Turkey's return to the F-35 fighter jet program at a, of course, later date, or this is completely a different issue which needs to be dealt through the resolution of S-400s?
This will be also help to make these problems how it can be in a resolution. I mean, the CATSA can be also maybe softened on the implementation on Turkey, and also as Turkey declared, we don't want to use this S-400 without any countries. It is just for our national security, and it is also a formal declare from the Turkish part. We don't want to use any contradiction between any NATO ally, but it is also show this will be a needed time. But this will show this the new areas and opportunities for both countries were realized from also the Biden administration. But the most important thing in here, again, we should mention the role of Turkey in Ukraine crisis.
Yes. So, Borzou, how would you describe the nature of this relationship? Are we seeing quite transactional relationship instead of a strategic one?
I think it's more strategic, actually. I don't think it's transactional. I think that I'm not so certain on the Ankara side, but I think even on the Ankara side, they see the U.S. as a strategic partner and a strategic ally. Now, like many countries in the world right now, they are also trying to diversify their diplomatic portfolio by reaching out to Russia and China and other world powers. But that relationship with the United States is not transactional. It is strategic. And on the part of Washington, I think it's more about thinking about the long-term relationship between Ankara and Washington than any kind of immediate quid pro quo at this point.
So what's your take on that, Ugur? They used to be actually strategic partners, if I'm not mistaken, but moving forward, how do you see relations develop, let's say?
Yes, thank you. And also I do agree with Professor at Paris. And also these transactions should help to increase the role of this strategic partnership, because when we focus on the solutions, it will also help for two types to make these relations for long term. But if the United States would like to prefer rather than the YPG to Turkey, it will also show these strategic alliances would focus and will be more effective.
Yes.
This will be the crucial point for Turkey's side.
All right, gentlemen. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it here. Thank you very much for joining me on Straight Talk.